Prophet of thought.
Get ready. Peace, folks, and welcome back to a special edition of the Prophet of Thought series right here on the old TPOT YouTube page. This is a special night of Dark X Live, DXL. We was all over down on Oshay's spot, and the brothers wanted to continue the conversation. If you look up in the description box, in the chat box, all the brothers who was down there, you can just hit the link and come on in. If you can't get in, just hit me on my email and I will email it to you so we can continue what we was talking about. I do expect the expected folks. I do believe it's going to be my man Q Butter, my man Info Man. I know they coming definitely. I don't know who else is going to show up, but if you can't jump on from that link right there, I will just email it to you. I'll put my email in the chat right now. Let me go ahead and do that so you can hit me up if you can't happen to get on through the link, because sometimes that shit happens for some reason. I don't know what's going on. It might be my cheap ass shit. I don't know, but hit me up right here. And I will send you the link. All right. It's right there, MOT. Just hit me up if you can't, because I know sometimes you can't jump in through my, TPOT got these ghetto ghosts, boy, and they will not leave. So I might have to send it through my email, man, because, like I said, these ghetto ghosts is crazy. But go ahead, shoot me your email, and I'll hit you up with the link. It's all good. Anyway, while I'm doing that and waiting for the brothers to file in, we were down there and we were talking about the intelligence of Black people. And the question was asked, are white people smarter than Black people? Now, I don't think that white people are smarter than Black people. I mean, I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that white people have a tendency to do smarter things than black people. You know, I mean, sometimes we have a tendency to just do crazy shit, man. You know, sometimes we don't do shit that's the best. You know, we don't do things that are in the best of our interests, man. We just don't. You know, sometimes we fuck up. You know, we get a little irresponsible at times, and we do irresponsible shit. You know, as far as how we live our lives and how we raise our children and all that kind of stuff. Now, it's not all of us. You know, it's a small pocket of us. You know, I'm not going to say that it's most of us, or nah, I don't believe that. But I believe that there's a significant amount of us who have a tendency to kind of live irresponsibly, make knee-jerk decisions, don't plan for the future. And as far as intelligence goes and IQ goes, I think that's subjective, man, and it's debatable because, I mean, I'll put myself for an example. I'll use myself as an example. Me, I'm a power mechanic. I've been doing power mechanics for 30 years. Okay, got experience up the yin yang, got certifications up the yin yang. There's probably nothing that I can't take apart and put back together as far as machinery goes, commercial equipment, bulldozers, heavy equipment, tractors, commercial lawn equipment, motorcycles, outboard motors. I do it all. Anyone who knows me knows my shop. They know what we do here. They know what me and my guys do. Now, like I said, there's probably nothing I can't take apart and put back together with just a pair of vice grips and a screwdriver. So when you look at something like that, I can be considered a genius when it comes to power mechanics and working on machinery. But if you take me and you put me in front of the space shuttle and say X, take that apart, then I become a dummy. Yeah, I become a dummy because see, now I don't know shit about the space shuttle. I mean, I'll probably see some things on it that would look familiar to me due to my mechanical background, but I mean, I wouldn't be considered a genius while I'm standing in front of the space shuttle. But you put me in front of a piece of power equipment, I'm a genius because I know everything about it. So, I mean, intelligence and genius, I mean, all that stuff is subjective, man. It all depends on what scale you're weighing it on, what you're putting it up against. You know, all that matters, man. It all comes into play. So, I don't believe that anybody is smarter or more intelligent than anyone else, unless you say, okay, if you put one person at a table and another person at a table, and just like the IQ test, you put them and you give them 100 math questions, and one person gets a 98, the other person gets a 78. We know that this person is better at this particular math test than this person is. Okay. We know that by the results. So, I mean, if we don't have results or proof of someone's intelligence, I don't think that we should be judging per se until we have proof. Now, often with us black folks, people have a tendency to focus on the quote unquote low IQ shit that they see coming from black folks. They focus on that, and they have a tendency to judge the vast majority of black folks based on that. You know, based on that particular whatever thing they're seeing, they have a tendency to judge the broad population of black folks on that. And I think that's a crucial mistake because see, not all black people are these stupid Negroes doing stupid stuff. You know, I'd like to believe that that's a minority of our population. Now, people will give me blowback for that, but I do believe that that's a minority of our population out there doing the crazy shit, robbing, stealing, you know, knocking old ladies in the head and robbing liquor stores and shooting folks and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that that's the majority of black people doing that. I think that's the minority of black people doing it. Now, some may disagree. Some may disagree, but that's what I think, you know. And a lot of times when we see these quote unquote, stupid things coming out of black society, I think we see it so much. Okay. We see it so much, and it's blasted on media so much that it almost appears that most of us are doing it, that most of us are like that most of us are living in the hood, that most of us are carrying guns and killing people. It appears that way, you know, and I think we have played a big part in it, because a lot of us, we have a tendency to focus on the negative aspects of our society as well. I think we have a tendency to focus on it. Not all of us, but many of us. So I think we've played somewhat of a part in it ourselves. But make no mistake, man, I just don't believe that, the vast majority of black people are these stupid people with no drive, no ambition, no interest in life, no dreams, no goals. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. You know, I think that there's probably a lot of us black folks who miss out on opportunities that would enhance our lives. I think that a lot of us have a tendency to not take advantage of certain things in life. I think that there's many of us who make a lot of bad decisions with our lives, because I mean, let's be clear, and I don't want to talk about nobody, because that's not what I do. Here we don't really do that here, where we talk about somebody particular. So I'll talk about myself. Okay. I'm a black man. I have 4 children. They're all adults, right? I run my own business, been running it for 4 years, and I do okay for myself. I'm not rich, all right, but I'm far from poor. I'm not living in poverty. My wife and I, we drive nice automobiles. We live in a nice home, okay, and we don't hunt our own food to survive. So I'm doing okay for myself, but I don't think that I'm better than other black folks. I mean, now, mind you, I've made a few better decisions, because I got brothers that I went to school with, grew up with. Some of them are dead, some of them are in prison, some of them are doing really, really bad. Just like I got brothers that I went to school with who are doing really, really good. They run their own businesses. They live a nice life. They live in a nice home. So I've never been a person to think that I was better than other black folks. Never. Now, I'll say again, I've made some better decisions. Yes, I've made some better decisions with my life. Because I had dreams and goals for my life from the time I was a young man. I just didn't act on them the way I did when I became an older man. I mean, I didn't, to be honest with y'all, full disclosure, I didn't figure shit out till I was 40. I had to turn 40 before I figured, shit out, and I decided to build my own thing. I got tired of working for people, and I felt like if I really wanted a good job, I had to create it myself. And I often tell brothers that, because brothers, talk about, unemployment and not being able to get work. Shit, man. If you don't have a job, create one. I'll say this again. If you do not have a job, create one. Okay. I mean, because when it comes to, you may not necessarily be able to just jump up and start a business, because it's not easy. Take it from me. It's not easy. And the first 2 years of it was hell. Okay. It was hell. The first 2 years, shit, I was taking money from other places, taking resources and finances from other places, putting into the business. The business didn't start really paying for itself till about 2 years. So I'm not going to tell you to just jump up and do that because it's not easy to do. But there are so many niches out there that brothers could fill if they want to. And also, earlier tonight, we were talking about, reaching back, giving back. We spoke of that. Now, I'm all for brothers looking out, mentoring, even going into communities and teaching, things of that nature. When you talk about giving back, it's almost as if you're implying that you got something from that neighborhood, so you should go and give back to it because you're giving back because you took something from it. But we all know that most of us who managed to get out of poverty, get out of the ghetto, get out of the hood, we know that most of us we got what we got by leaving the hood. It's not like we obtained it while we were in the hood. We had to leave the hood to get it. So the whole give back thing kind of baffles me when people say it, because a lot of people who have left out of the hood and made something out of themselves, it took leaving the hood to achieve what they have. So it's not like they owe the hood. When you say give back, you're saying they owe the hood, So that I kind of rub up against. I'm not necessarily for the whole give back thing. I'm more so of if you can get in there and, maybe mentor, hire brothers, that kind of thing. Because that's what I do. I mean, I say this all the time. I mean, most of the dudes that work for me, they straight from the hood. They got bad grammar, fucking their pants hanging off their ass and all this kind of nonsense, but they get the job done. So I don't care. I don't care what they do before 7 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening. What they do outside of those times, I don't give a shit. I don't care who they shot, how much crack they sell, how many baby mamas they got. If your ass can show up at 7 o'clock and stay there till 5 o'clock in the afternoon and do what I tell you to do, you all good. I don't care what happens outside those hours. What's going on, brother MOT?
What's up, man?
What's going on? Yeah, I was just talking, man, just running my damn mouth. That's what I do. Um, I was telling the folks that this give back thing, has a weird connotation to it, man, because it's suggesting that you got something from the neighborhood, so you're giving back. You got something from it, so you give it something back. And I don't necessarily believe that. I don't necessarily believe that, man. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, like, what I found is that, well, what I was doing is I was just helping a whole bunch of people to clean up their drug money and just start buying them houses in the neighborhood. And them people just got hooked on it. Were like, man, fuck this crack cocaine.
Mm.
Seriously, they make $50,000 and they ain't got to worry about being shot at. Changes somebody's life, man. Change. And if you used to used to be in that line of work, you got a lot of workers who can just work, right? So hey, I mean, it's not perfect, but it works. It's
Yeah,
just that I don't know, man. It's just that I just wish, because I work for the program in Mississippi, and what they started doing, well, the past 4 years, what they've been doing is they've been rather than doing Head Start and pre-K, rather than at half a year, they started doing it year round, and they realized that by having it year round, they're now seeing the results pay with higher math and kind of science scores in schools for the youth, and they're a lot more engaged because they go the year round like everybody else rather than that half a year trying to push people through. But we have to stop these kids from being created in this environment, man. You can't outrun that. You
yeah.
cannot outrun that, man.
I agree. I agree. I mean, but see, this is the thing, MOT. People push back on that because they say, and I've pushed back on it to a degree myself, because people will say, oh, well, the black population is dwindling, so we need to be having more babies and all this kind of nonsense, which I think is absurd, because we as black people, that's what we've been doing for the past like 50 years. I mean, we've just been having babies. So obviously that particular thing is not working for black folks. I don't care what you say or how you try to frame it. That is not working for black people to just be having babies. Now, if you want to take it to another level and say, okay, we need to do something different with the population, my answer would be, what we need to do is start creating more families and more family structure, so these new black babies that grow up don't have to grow up in dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because that's a big problem in black society, is the dysfunction. I mean, because dysfunction does what? It begets more and greater dysfunction. It's not like these dysfunctional people are having these kids and these kids are growing up to be fucking astronauts. They're not. Okay, these are our killers. These are our people destroying the neighborhoods. These are our people selling drugs, knocking old ladies in the head, and doing all this kind of shit. You don't go to a neighborhood where the medium income is $70,000 and old ladies can't walk down the street and fear getting hit over the head by some 15-year-old. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So you also bring in the poverty element, along with the crime, because I'm a true believer that poverty is the motherhood of crime. I have gotten pushback off of that too, but all the statistics are on my side, that freaking poverty is the motherhood of crime. So if we had more family structure injected into black society and black lifestyle, I think we would see a lot of those problems inside black society dwindle. I truly believe that.
It'll vanish in 25 years if we all lined up. That's the thing. And it's just that it's hard to get women to see that. Because it's, when you can't talk to people, like most women cape for the non-being on birth control stuff as a means of freedom to be able to pick and choose whoever they want to be pregnant by. And I'm like, don't you realize that you're sliding your problem down another 2 and 3 generations whenever you don't fix this? Now it may or may not, it's a very low 1 in 15 chance that child is going to make it out of that. 1 in 15. And that's what the organization I was working for, who knew what it was before we would start working with kids. So the kind of the separating the two of what I was doing or was working with a group was doing was, here's the deal. You want our help, you got to have a 2-parent household, and it has to be parentally involved. If you know it, here's the other caveat. If you know another kid who lives in the neighborhood that you can give him a ride and get him home, we'll be able to kind of sponsor that kid in too. Who normally wouldn't be covered under the 2-parent household thing. But if you live in the neighborhood and they can be dropped off by somebody, and it's not quote unquote our responsibility to pick a kid up and drop them off, then I guess there's some parental involvement there. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it's you like every year I go back and there was a person who grew up in the same neighborhood I did, one of the worst neighborhoods like in that area. She's a PhD, she works in education, and every year she just looks at these numbers and just throw her hands up like, you can't outrun the circumstances that these kids are created in. You just cannot outrun that. And she's taken it to a point to where she goes and like hands out pamphlets at like the birthing facility in the city to let people know that you have got to stop doing. And then it's big argument, all that kind of stuff. But it's just that we can't get the women to understand their part in this. And they want to hold on to that power and somehow won't change. And you can't have both. And you can't be able to create a black family without a man in the house. And even if you do have a man in the house, it better be a worthwhile one,
Yeah.
you know, because your
And
job as a parent is to redeem the child. Like your life's over.
yeah.
And it's kind of hard to get people to understand that, hey, you already don't have life skills. You have to immediately go in the workforce to get welfare, at least in that state. And it's tough. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I think, man, I think often what happens is, man, we get, we get these delusions of grandeurs. Okay. We get delusions of grandeur. And, we oftentimes live this damn dream. We live in a dream, and we all think we're going to be movie stars, rappers, baseball players, basketball players, entertainers, and all this kind of bullshit. Where oftentimes, I mean, it just doesn't turn out that way. Our women are living a fantasy too. They think they're gonna marry a athlete, an actor, a movie star. They thinking that, giving that old pussy more value than it's really worth. And they continue to live that dream until the dream actually just explodes. Okay. They'll live that dream. I know women right now, man, that are in their 30s and have 4 and 5 babies, and they still chasing that thing right now with 4 and 5 kids by 4 and 5 dudes. They are still chasing the fucking thing as if the thing is really exists for them at this point. And I think what happens with a lot of us, man, is we're not focused on a lot of the right shit, man. Because I was going to say this down at Oshay's place, man. When you talk about our children, okay, do you know that 80% of black children, okay, cannot read on grade level by the fourth grade? And this isn't an old study. This is from 2017. Okay, this study is like a year old. In 2017, 80% of black children couldn't read at grade level. 80%. Um, another 82% couldn't do math at their grade level by fourth grade. And you talking fourth grade. Fourth grade, your ass about 9. Okay, you about 9 to 10. Your ass need to know how to read and at least count. All right. So you think about this kind of stuff when only 20% of our kids are functioning on a grade level. But you got these 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8-year-old kids who can cuss you out.
Oh
They
yeah.
can recite Jay-Z's lyrics, Nicki Minaj lyrics, Lil
Yeah.
Wayne's lyrics. But this little motherfucker can't read, he can't write, he can't count, he don't know how to hold a pencil. But boy, he can sure cuss you out when he like 5. Where you learning that from? Where you learning that from?
At the
Where you
crib,
learning that
man.
from? So we have this kind of shit going on too, where a lot of our children are being counseled and indoctrinated with the bullshit, but they're not being taught the real shit. So when it comes time for them to go to school, when it comes time for them to develop and become, part of society, because school is part of society, they're not even ready, because the 4 5 years before they got to school, they were getting pumped with a bunch of nonsense. All right. Because you around your black ass mama 4 5 years before you even go to school. Now, how you 9 and cannot read? What? She wasn't reading you baby books. She wasn't teaching you numbers. She wasn't teaching you colors. She wasn't teaching you time, how to write your name, how to spell. She wasn't teaching you none of that shit. What was she doing those 5 years? What was she doing? You know how to cuss. You know how to cuss. You know how to recite Nicki Minaj lyrics, but your little black ass can't read. That's not your fault. It's the people who are rearing you fault, because they're
And
not
by the
bringing
time
you
they
up
figure it out,
to
it's
education.
over. And by the time they
So
figure it out, they're so mad at the world, dude, that they want to die and they don't care how they go.
exactly,
That's the
exactly.
That's why they go out here and do all this wild ass shit because they see that they live in a world that they are not compatible with. You think that wouldn't make you mad as shit?
Yeah,
You think that
yeah,
wouldn't make you mad as shit? You seeing people going on and doing things, and your whole life is a fucking mess. And that's not even counting the kids who are made to act a fool so that way they can get a check. Then their life's really fucked up.
yeah.
Being
I
special
see a
ed and
lot
all
of
this
that
shit.
too. I see a lot of that too.
It,
I see a lot of that too.
it's like everybody want to talk positive about this negative situation, but sometimes, man, you have to be realistic about this negative situation to fix
Yeah,
this shit.
well, you know what they say when you talk about the negative shit, you're a coon, you're a Sambo, you're a sellout, you shucking and jiving, all this kind of bullshit. But see, what people have to understand is, and I heard this said before down on O'Shea's, it's just like going to AA, man. It's just like going to NA. I mean, you have to realize there's a goddamn problem before you start to fix it. And I believe many of us do not realize it's a problem. Yeah, you can jump on Lady Thalia. Do I have your email? Shoot me an email. I'll send you the link.
And here's the other thing that I've seen. A lot of people see that admitting a basic problem is somehow tied to their self-esteem. I'm like, hey man, you got to put that shit aside for a second, Jack. So that way we can really get this shit fixed because it don't take a lot to fix. But every day that you don't fix this shit, it compounds the problem to a point to where it can't be fixed.
Hey,
You
MOT.
can't. You could not. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, thanks for firing up the stream, Prophet. And
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
because something that you MOT said about this situation with the household, um, I got these 10 data points that I'm looking at from the U.S. Census Bureau and the Department of Health and Services that backs up everything he says. But I'm just very shocked that why Black folks makes things so complicated. So we know that 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders are from fatherless homes. 80% of rapists are from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. So those are the major statistics from that study. Now, with that, people that consider themselves so intelligent, regardless of this IQ test and whatever, I don't care if you have an IQ test or whatnot, but I've never been in any job where they don't have some kind of test or some kind of performance-based simulation that you have to do to show that you can get the job done or solve the problem. So we could talk about IQ test, not IQ test, but what really it boils down to, what is the skill set of the population that you're talking about, and what is the cultural behaviors that they have that manifest themselves in society. So people say, well, the IQ, that's the white man's test. Fine. Even though Asians score the highest on the white man's test. But when you're talking about the skill set, so even if I don't give you an IQ test, and let's say I'm a bridge maker, and I go amongst the Black population, I say, I need like 15 people that help me with this bridge. What would you guys use to measure if they can build a bridge? So you can give them a test to get the quick knowledge, or put them out there on a project and then see if they can build a bridge. A lot of time these testing are just shortcuts to find out if someone has a basic competency in order to give them the on-the-job training, so you'll know what kind of situation you could put them into.
And here's something that's screwed up about the IQ test. Most people who are good at working with their hands routinely score far lower than people who are quote unquote smart on the IQ test, even though they can build stuff.
Mm-hmm. And that's
How
why
does
you're going to get some kind of test. That's why IQ doesn't have to be the only test. Like, there's ways of testing a person. If you could go to assembly line and you're good with your hands, they will just take like some kind of widget. They'll break it down and they'll say, okay, put it together. So if that person has that skill set, they're going to hire you, because you might be doing it twice as fast as the person with the higher IQ. But it just boils down to competency, man.
Yeah, it does. And that's like, I was in the military. And dude, so what? My IQ is 175.
You
Okay,
smart motherfucker.
my life. I didn't just get my life together until like 7 fucking years ago. See what I'm saying? It don't really says anything about where you're going in life just because of some arbitrary score. If you're not applying this shit in actual life, it don't mean anything. And what was it, like 25 years ago? The guy with the highest IQ was a fucking dishwasher at a damn restaurant. Like that's how come the IQ test just really don't mean much with it.
I
If
think
you're
the
not
balance.
going,
I think in American society, the American economy rewards those with the highest IQ balance between IQ and EQ. So someone like you that has 170 IQ, but if your EQ is 0, you're going to be limited. Or a person that has like, the top EQ, but then a low IQ, they're going to be in trouble. America seems to reward those that have a nice balance between IQ and EQ, or what we would call, like on a colloquial level, street smarts, book smarts, and common sense.
yeah.
When you see people that have that combination of book smarts, common sense, and street smarts, I have rarely met a person that was unsuccessful that I found to have those three mixtures in a good balance.
Yeah, well, I think, see, and I know people gonna get mad at me when I say this shit, but I don't give a shit. What happens is, man, we often equate ability to do bullshit as intelligence often. We think that our people who are standing on corners selling drugs are intelligent. We think people who know how to hustle and grind and not get caught, we think they are intelligent. We think that people who know how to work the system, beat the system, abuse the system, we think that these people are intelligent. So we have a tendency to take intelligence to another level, man. Because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people in Black society that if they were using their powers for good as opposed to evil, they could probably be really successful. Okay. People who sell drugs and shit in the street would probably make good entrepreneurs. Okay. People who are out there robbing and stealing and shit like that, they probably would be really, really good business owners. So oftentimes what happens is we think some of the shit that goes on in our society is smart shit, man. And really it's not. Because usually a lot of the shit that we're doing in Black society is the very antithesis of fucking intelligence. All right. It's the antithesis of intelligence. And like many brothers talk about all the time, man, and often people who show a degree of intelligence, okay, people who show a degree of intelligence are usually ridiculed, made fun of, told they act white, told they talk white. They're trying to be white because they've exhibited, that intelligence, whether through how they do in school, how they speak, the way they dress, how they carry themselves. These people are often shunned within Black society because we have equated being Black with slang, with doing stupid shit, not interested in education, not interested in schooling, hanging out, chasing hoes. We act like, all that stuff is Blackness. You got to have bad diction. You got to not give a shit about school, not give a shit about a job, not give a shit about your future, not give a shit about your legacy. That's Blackness. When you got all those qualities, that's you being Black. If you're about your education, if you're about your money, if you're about how you present yourself, how you represent yourself, using good diction, using good vocabulary, getting good grades, trying to get out the hood, now you're quote unquote acting white. And I think that is a big problem too, man. I think that's a very big problem within Black society.
Well, I think that we're at the
culture, though.
We're at the crossroads. We're at the crossroads now, because all these talks that have been had, we're at a crossroads now where society's not going to wait around for the Black population.
Nope.
We're at a point now where, there's 16 and 17-year-old teenagers that are starting startups right now, working with robotics, working with AI. teenagers that are making more than their whole family ever made in 50 years of working for someone else. We're at a point now where that merger between human intelligence and AI is we're about to enter that stage as we go forward, and Trump and his Republicans are going to open up like a deregulated market for entrepreneurship if you're in a position to do so. So all this, like, you know, save the American Black community, things like that. I think that soon people are going to wake up and look around, and those people that you were saying that, oh, you were acting white, that were being isolated, I think a lot of these people are not coming back. And we have to be realistic about that if you're going to save these poor areas, you're going to have to make a choice. Like, the more intelligent and the more experienced Black Americans that are still connected to those communities that you mentioned, they're going to have to just take it on themselves to fix what in their youth they destroyed. Because a lot, like MOT is talking about, a lot of guys like him, you guys can try to pull and push and do whatever, but after being around the manosphere for 8 months, I still haven't seen anyone come to this man, because I've heard him talk many times, with any incentives and benefits for him to go back somewhere that rejected him. I haven't seen it yet in 8 months. The only thing I've heard is you say it's the right thing to do. Well, unfortunately, that altruism may be good, but the way that humans work inside is based off of incentives and disincentives. And he seems to have received more disincentives to go back than any incentives to come back.
Dude, listen, man. I lost 6 businesses and nearly $5 million trying to bring people along, man. Trust me. I have tried it far more than probably anybody else could ever name. I've had clubs closed down, same type of shit. Had limousine companies closed down, same type of shit. It's just that at some point, man, I just had to stop for my own well-being. I just had to stop and be like, hey, man, why don't I run way down to the finish line and then come back? Because I was trying to redeem too many people along my path to success, and I could have been here 10, 15 years ago. But, you know, the way I was raised, and, you know, didn't want to move too far forward, and that kind of stuff, you know, that's type of stuff you go through, and then, you know, you go through to getting robbed and almost killed, and stuff gets stolen from you. You know, that stuff happens so many times, man, to the point you were, all right, so now what I do, if your parents are involved, I will help or guide. But if your parents are involved, there's no way I could be able to do that.
Why do they want you to come back? But coming from an urban America in the Midwest, and I grew up around a lot of these guys that was into the game. A lot of them I know. And I've just noticed that I don't never hear anyone say to the drug dealers that was making millions, that was getting bricks out there, that was getting bands and all that. I don't never hear them say to those group, hey, come back with all your ill-gotten gains that you know, selling crack to your mom.
They never do that.
Selling crack to your grandmother. Come back with all that money and rebuild the community. Open up schools with some of that drug money. Because the irony is that most of these dudes, when they get caught, they, you know, like a good story to look at is BMF, the documentary, right? I mean, these guys were making millions. You know what I'm saying? When them boys came to get them, when the FBA came and got them, they got millions in cash. And what a lot of these law enforcement groups have done, they've given the money to like cities to build up the richer, whiter areas of cities with drug money. So it's almost like an indentured servitude that a lot of these drug dealers since the drug war have served for the state without really acknowledging that. So it's like on the front end, they made all these millions of dollars on the streets selling, destroying their own communities. Then when they go to prison, they're put to work for pennies on the dollar for corporate America. But that money that's taken away from those drug dealers is actually given to cities and counties for different projects that pretty much go to rich areas where white people live. But yet,
you also don't play the lottery because that's where the lottery money go to too.
Oh, yeah. See, I never hear people tell those guys, "Hey, come back, fix everything that you've broken up." I just don't hear it, and that's why I say that I'm actually losing faith that the situation for the black majority will be fixed. I'm really starting to lose faith in it, you know, because I don't see these conversations progressing anywhere with practical solutions for people. I just hear them saying,
only asking people who they don't have respect for to do this.
Yeah, well, brother Sigma, you make a very, very good point, the point that I was talking when I first started this stream. You hear people say, give back. Now, when you say give back, like I said earlier, people often say, you know, give back. That would imply that you got something out of that particular society, so you need to give something back to it. Now, like I said earlier, most people who have made it out of the hood, they didn't make what they made of themselves because of the hood. They made it when they got away from the hood. But you talked about the drug dealers who have taken plenty from the hood. Those people should definitely be giving back because they made their comeuppance in the hood, from the people in the hood, from money that flowed through the hood. They actually made their comeuppance by way of the hood. So those should be the very first people to give back, not necessarily a King Sigma or a brother MOT who had to get out of the goddamn hood to get what they had to get. You want to tell them to give back, give something back, when the people who actually took from the neighborhood are not giving back. We done been joined by Lady Thalia and my man Info Man. What's good, y'all? Lady Thalia, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just listening to what everybody's saying about how the black community in America is more like they expect the people they kicked out to come back and help them, but they don't expect the people that are hurting them to come and help them. And I find that like a Stockholm kind of syndrome thing. But I also notice, like, business wise, they let a lot of foreigners make money off of them in their community. So they'll spend like a lot of money on things they really don't need, but the things that they do need, they ask for it. And like, it's like trying to keep up with the Joneses, but you really can't keep up with the Joneses. When I first heard the word hood rich, I was like, what the hell is hood rich? Like, how can you be hood and be rich? Like, and what shocked me most is how you can have like a fancy car, but your house is shitty. It kind of shocked me in a way as a kid that I came to understand that's just the way it is. But as a child in school, I've seen a lot of these kids that you're talking about. They grew up with dysfunctional homes, you know, and it's hard. Unfortunately for me, my parents got divorced, but at least it was kosher. But for the most part, I like many kids I've seen throughout my years, I come back and see them. Some of them didn't make it. Some of them are poor. Some of them are jail. Some of them are baby mamas or baby daddies already. And to me, it's like the vicious cycle. You know, I understand a lot of people on Black YouTube want to blame the white man. I said, yes, the white man has a part to play in it. But we also, too, I always said, well, my grandfather always said, it takes two to tango. And, you know, a lot of it to me is like, it's coming from both sides. It's come from the external and the internal, from the in and out. So, yeah. That's all.
Brother Info Man, you want to chime in? Is he there?
Thank you, brother, for letting me be here tonight. You made a very good point, brother X, when you made the statement that did the community make me or did I make myself? When I really examine it and look at it from that point of view, the community that I grew up in didn't really. I wouldn't say that the community actually made me what I am today. I think it was my hard work. It was my belief in God. I think my mother and family members and mentors and people I had in my life who guided me. It wasn't the actual grittiness of the community, but one of the things that the community did give me, and I hope that y'all can agree with this, the community did give me a sort of how can I say, survival skills, because I had to survive in the environment that I was living. And I lived in an environment with people that did a little bit of everything, pimping, drugs. I've had friends that have died along the way that I knew growing up, and I watched the things that they did. And those were my examples to say, if I do that, A, B, and C, this is where it can get me. So I think it was my own internal ingenuity, family support, good mentors, good black men that I had in my life along the way that sort of, I would say, built me as to what I was. I would not necessarily say the grittiness of the black community did that. I think it would be more of those that I had the pleasure of being connected with that weren't even in the community that I grew up in. So you make a very intriguing point versus what you said earlier. If the community made you to your success, the grittiness of it, then maybe, yeah, you have something to say, hey, the community made me. But that question, the way you made that statement, brother, that really is a very interesting way to look at it. Can we save all these kids? I listened to Man of Tomorrow making good points. We're not going to be able to save all these kids because you're right. There are some really bad numbers out there in terms of how many of our people are really falling short. And part of the problem, we have the mentality of we beg for what we need. So we'll beg to the politicians and any black so-called leader that claims they're going to do something for us, or these politicians. And then we go out and get what we want. I've had the unfortunate experience of seeing how some black people will spend money on things that are foolishness. We are the biggest consumers of mass media, entertainment, clothing. And anytime we're spending money on those areas and not on ourselves, anytime I can read an article about Black America, or in the case of black women spending $836 billion on weaves, all the money that we're spending annual on hair care. I'm saying to myself, couldn't that money be spent in other areas? Yes, sir.
I wanted to stop before you went too far off what you had just said.
Yeah, I understand. Go ahead, brother.
You had mentioned this thing about helping the kids. See, here's my problem.
Yes. Okay. I'm willing to listen.
That we focus so much on the symptoms because that's the more good sounding and it hits you in the heart, altruism, right? So we focus on the symptoms. Yes. But here's what my problem is with the whole help the kids thing. Mm-hmm. It would be one thing if you were shutting down the fatherless home epidemic and helping the kids that were here. So it's like, if there's like an agreement between all these single mothers and the good men like yourself and Prophet of Thought who seem to be a little bit more invested in that community, if they were saying, if the women are saying to you guys, like, you know what, we're shutting this single mother thing down, we're getting on birth control, and we're gonna reward the pussy in a way that is gonna go to the men that can take care of any kids that we do make. So you already got this large population of kids being raised in these fatherless homes, and I read the statistics earlier when I got on, showing what the outcomes are. Yes, sir. It's horrendous. It's horrible. It's terrible. So I feel like guys like you, with the good intentions, you're playing a game of whack-a-mole, because here's what really happened in the real world. And I know it's going to be people that are going to hate that I'm going to tell the truth. While you're out there cleanup man duties, it's not like Shorty is out there at the college taking classes or taking on a second job because she has these cleanup men doing babysitting duties that her man should be doing, that her husband should be doing, that the father of that child should be doing. No, she's actually out there like, damn, I got some babysitters. I'm about to go get pregnant again. I'm about to go have some more. Mm-hmm. How do I know that's true? Because it's not stopping. The number's going up. By 2020, we're going to be at 80% of black children are raised in fatherless households. This is if this was white people or Asians, this would be like an opioid crisis or something. But no, everyone treats the American black population like the canary in the coal mine. Let's watch what happens to their families and the breakdown, and then we'll let it go so far in our own community, then we're going to stop it. And that's kind of what you see with the white alt-right right now. They're pushing back hard against that feminism and that liberalism right now. You know, they're pushing back hard against it. And they're letting know, we're going to put a stop to this right now. We're going to change the abortion laws. We're going to make it harder to get free birth control. We're going to take control of the white vagina because we need to control the white vagina to control our numbers. But they allowed the black population to do so much damage to themselves because they want to see how bad it can get once it got to a certain point. And that's where we're at right now. So I just wonder, do you guys that have that altruistic streak, do you think about the fact that these women aren't negotiating with you guys and you're giving everything? You're giving time, energy, and money, but what are they giving you guys? What are they giving you?
Well, go ahead, brother Info Man. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you make a compelling point, brother. I don't think that brothers who do this type of work, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think brothers who are engaged in the community in this way, I don't think we often wake up out of our bed saying, why am I doing this? Is the woman giving me something? What is the community doing for me personally in terms of monetary value? I think most people who do this kind of work, they just do it out of the kindness of their heart. And they also do it out of not just the kindness of their heart. Let me say that. Let me repeat. Let me fix that statement. I think brothers do it out of what they're seeing is happening to their community. And to be quite honest, some brothers feel that if I can get involved, maybe, just maybe, I can change the situation. If it just means one child at a time, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, then it's better than me doing nothing. Some people have a calling to that. If you don't have a calling to that, then there's something else you can do. When you look at Booker T. Washington, people thought that Booker T. Washington was an Uncle Tom or a sellout or what have you. But he talked about what? Economic independence, owning your own land. And we should have went with the Booker T. Washington philosophy and not the W.E. Du Bois philosophy. And look what happened. People don't know that Booker T. Washington was funding what we would call rebel groups under the table of the time that he lived in, that he was convert. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So some of us have that mentality where we might, you may not be the brother that can be in the community hands-on, but you might be the brother that can say, you know what, I'm going to donate to an organization that has a much larger structure to kind of help this area, right? Or donate to now, as far as our women, I'm just going to be honest, and people are going to criticize. I just don't think, and people are going to say, well, you can't just like turn your back on the rest of us. I don't think personally that you're going to be able to change the minds and hearts of grown ass people. So if you're a woman at 40, 35, whatever your age, and I'm going to come in and think that I'm going to change your behavior. If you like being with thugs and hood rats and that's your thing, laying up and down like that, I don't think I can change that ideology at the age that a person is. People at some point have to know what's wrong from right. So my only reality is that young people have brains that are still like sponges, which can still be shaped, molded, that versus dealing with someone who's old as hell, who should know better. I don't see myself wanting to clean that type of stuff up. This is a very difficult conversation for me personally, because part of me loves my people, right? Mm-hmm. But part of me knows that there's fuckery and that I can't be Captain Save you know what. So I'm kind of like caught in this middle, brother.
Have you ever read Carol Payton, Dr. Carol Payton?
Right, you want say what? Hear you. I'm sorry.
Because I heard you say that you're caught in this middle. Have you read Dr. Carol Pateman's book? Is considered like the seminal work on the sexual contract?
No, brother, but I would have to check that out. I'll have to check that out
because it'll bring some clarity. Because she's like she was like this top feminist 30 years ago, and she wrote the book about the sexual contract during that early second wave of feminism, and she talked about it herself, that there was, for most of history during the development of civilization, there was like informal contract between men and women, where men provided certain things. The word husband comes from the etymology of the word house band, banding of the house. So the man was supposed to be someone who brought, leadership, protection, paid the bills, and safety. And the woman was supposed to be a supplement to him, a servant to him, and a nurturer. That was the traditional contract. But back in the 70s and the 80s, that was shredded. So I guess I have to challenge this idea that all American Black women are our women. See, women understand that contract has been rejected. They know it. They let you know it all the time.
Let me just ask you this one question, and then I know that Brother X wants to say some things. Let me ask you this question. this is the one thing I think gets lost, brothers. Realize this. Do women really know what a real man is?
Yes.
I think that also plays into the problems in our community. I don't think women, black women today, know what a real man is. And then when they do connect with a man who's uncompromising, who is masculine in his confidence of who he is, they reject that. You're going to reject that which you don't know. And I don't think our women really know. They grow up in these dysfunctional situations in some cases, and then they don't know what a real man is. So when they hear brothers like you speak, or Madam Tomorrow, or anyone who comes from this real classic man type of framework, a lot of our women will reject that because they've never seen it in their household. And in black, on a larger pathology, black people in general, we do not respect the authority of black people. We have been long conditioned to respect the authority of white people in this society and not each other. What do you think about that?
I gotta hit back on that from the standpoint of, if they didn't treat the white man like God when they get one, it's funny how they can go to work and they know what a classic man is, or a stand-up guy is, or a man in charge is. It's funny how they can go find a white guy and he could be a bottom shelf guy, but they can give him that crown. So this idea that the American black woman doesn't know what a good man is, that's poppycock. I can't buy that, for the simple fact that it's a fact that intraracially, black women have more college degrees than black men do. So this not dumbass high school dropout type women. These women are pretty formally educated, or I won't use the word educated, I'll say they're formally credentialed by institutions, and they know what a good man is. I just think that a lot of those women that do have that that regressive mentality towards black men, they just hate black men and they don't respect black men.
But let me throw this in there though. You do know that those white men that black women will kowtow to on the job, though these are white men that are doing, these are white men who have some sort of power of authority, whether it be their supervisor, or these are white men who cut their paychecks. This is the question. How many black men, this is my challenge, how many black men are in a position of authority where we're cutting checks for black women, where black women have to adhere to our order on the job? How many of us are employing black women? How many of us in a position?
Can I play devil's advocate?
Hang on. I'm not finished. I'm just asking that question because I think it does play into the level of disrespect that we have for each other. I've seen this when I was in college, where you have other black students, black folks that will disrespect black professors, come to the class late, try to see if they can talk themselves out of getting a damn F in the class because they didn't do good on their exam. But then when it comes to the white professor, they show up on time. They have no goddamn excuses. I think that the bigger pathology of this is that we don't respect each other as black people, and we don't respect. And so we expect black women to respect us when we don't respect ourselves. And then they don't really see a lot of us in authority. I'm not talking about as entertainers and basketball players. I mean in authority, cutting checks, taking care of shit.
Have you heard MOT's story about what happened to him when he went to a corporate board meeting? And even though he was one of the highest ranking black men in that boardroom, the black women under him disrespected him, even though he was the one that was above them?
Yeah, but see, let's say I agree that that's real. Let's say that, let me just say this, and maybe it's making excuses, maybe it's not. If those same black women did not grow up in their household with a man as the head of the household and submitted to the authority of a father, and or had a proper father figure in their life to teach them the respect of a black man, then how would they expect a black man who is in some power when they've never been taught that? See, the question is, have our women actually been taught what a real black man is? That's what I'm really getting back to.
You're asking a chicken and egg question. So then that goes back to,
it may be a chicken and egg question, brother, but it's a question that we must put on the table because there is some reality to that.
I'll answer it, because here's the question. Then it goes back to, whose responsibility was for her mother to choose a man of means that would marry her before knocking her up, or if she was married, to lead those kind of resources and had a relationship with her? Whose fault is that?
Well, I think women. I think the bottom line. This is my thing. I'm a man, right? I have an 11-year-old daughter.
Yep.
I got a divorce. Been divorced 10 years. If I could have easily left from where I live at right now and just said, fuck it, I don't want to be involved in my child's life. Fuck the whole, I want to get out, I want to leave the place that I live in, right? But we as men are sort of built for the sacrifice. I sacrifice it to stay and live where I live at currently, where I don't really want to live. I stay here because I want to be in my child's life. If I would have left my child's life and my daughter would have grew up with the wrong type of masculine energy in her life, and her mother would have got with some ratchet dude that would have been in my daughter's life, then I have to look at myself and say, why is my daughter the way she is? Because I left her at a young age and I was not in the household, or I was not in my daughter's life to show her a good image of a black man that she will respect, and therefore she will have a different respect for black men that are like myself, not the ratchet ones, as she grows up. So I have to say I would hold some responsibility, brother, if I abandoned my child. Right. And then let's say the mother is doesn't raise the child right. We know that black men, we stabilize communities with right? Do we stabilize?
Why is it that your ex-wife could pick the right man, but a lot of these other women, you notice that you haven't given yourself
because I'll tell you what, brother, I met my my ex-wife. We don't have any drama. You know why? Because as a black man, when I was in school, I chose my woman with my big head, not my small head. I chose a woman I chose an intelligent woman. I took the time to get to know her, to know where her mind was at. I wasn't thinking about sex and busting a nut. And I believe because of the choice that I made, I believe even though we divorced, I believe the reason why I don't have drama with her, like some brothers may be experiencing with some women, because on a certain degree, I did choose an intelligent woman to a certain degree that was not on a ratchet level.
But she chose
and she doesn't live a ratchet life.
But she chose.
And she chose me, because women do choose men.
But you just said,
you're right.
You don't think that black women know what a good man is, even though your ex-wife chose you.
I said some black women. This black woman that I married, she knew what the value was because she had a father in her life. So she did have a certain level of understanding of what a good black man is. We were together. We were married for 15 years. And like some relationships, sometimes they end. Sometimes some things don't work out in a relationship. But in the end, to this very day, I don't have the sort of drama that some of my friends that I know that got married are having. And I know why, because they did take the time to get to know that woman that they married, and that woman might have had some ratchet behavior about them. So I look at it this way. I believe personally that she made a good choice in me. I think I made a good choice in her. Now, if I would have went out there and said, let me pick the woman with the big booty, who's all, glammed out and all of that, right? If I just went for just pure physicality, and not the intelligence and what the woman is learning and what is she doing, because that's going to translate to your child, then I could find myself in some ratchet shit right now as a divorced man, because I could say, damn it, you know what? I hear this all the time, brother, when I've gone to barbershops and I've heard dudes meet these women in clubs with these bodies, and they'll be like, God damn, she's this and that. And then later on they come in the barbershop and say, man, this woman's giving me the blues. I didn't know she was crazy, man.
Yeah, that's real.
Y'all know I'm telling the truth.
No, that's true. Everything you're saying, it's fair what you're saying, but I get it. You're a brother that you have that altruistic heart, and I guess what I would say is that I just hope that the American black community gives back at least a little bit of what you're willing to give, because I mean, you really are a man that's willing to make that sacrifice, and I just think that a lot of cats at this point, they're like, you know what, it ain't even worth it. So it's a good thing that they at least have some guys like you that's still willing to do it, but I don't really. I guess we can just say that.
I understand you.
We're kind of.
I ain't crazy though, brother. I'm gonna let you know right now. I'm not a fool either. I do see some ratchet stuff out there. Thank you. This what I want to do. This is what I want to do, because we got a female on the panel. Lady Thalia's on the panel, and I know she listening. So I mean, what's your take? What's your take on that whole thing about whether or not a black woman knows a good man or not? What's your take on that?
I think a lot of black women consciously and subconsciously knows what a good man is and what not a good man is, but they choose the bad boy because it's fun. Because consciously they know the guy who's stable is worth it, but they want the bad boy too. So it's like I want to have my cake and eat it too kind of deal. And I've seen this happen before. I remember this one girl, like she was she wasn't like she wasn't the type of girl that you would think would go whoring out, but she dated this dude that was like a thugged out dude, and she knew he was a thugged out dude. I didn't say nothing because I was like, all right, that's what she likes. But in my mind, it's like, this is not going to end well. Years later, it didn't end well. She had a kid with him. He went to jail. And, she started working and she's in community college. But she ended up with this other dude now. Now, this dude is a little more stable. Well, he's more stable than she is with his finances together and everything. And I'm like, like me, I'm like the type of person who would hold out. Yes, I am a virgin. Um, I just don't think women, I think women like to use their emotional a lot more than their logic. And we have a lot of women who are emotional, which breeds emotional people. I see that a lot of the men today are emotional than they were back then because the women that they're raised around are emotional. There's no logic. And fortunately for me and my siblings, we were raised with logical people despite their indifference, despite their differences. But I believe a lot of these women know what they're doing and they're just like, it's like you have to lie to yourself. You you keep on lying till you believe the lie kind of deal. You get what I'm saying? And like
Yeah.
and it's like it's a very internal thing because a lot of these women come from a cycle of women who devalue themselves as well.
Well, me, I mean, Brother Sigma talks about the altruism of some black men. And, many, many years ago, I used to be kind of one of those guys. I mean, I actually, and you talking years and years ago, like when I was in like my mid-20s, I actually had a degree of pity, and I felt kind of sorry, for black women, because I subscribe to the whole, black women are the most unprotected people in society. Black women have it rough. They're black and they're female, so they face more discrimination. Yada yada. That was back when I was way younger and a lot, way more stupid than I am now. I actually thought, I thought that way. So a lot of us are groomed to think that way, and I was raised by my father, you know. But by the time I got to be about 28, by the time I got to be about 28, I start seeing things a lot differently, and I damn sure see them a lot differently now. Um, I don't feel sorry for these women who have themselves in this hole. I believe that the children are important, so I can kind of understand why brothers do what they do within black society, even when they going into the hood and in the ghettos, like my man Q Butter. I mean, me and Q Butter, we real close. That's my people. He teaches these young children, and he teaches them STEM. And like I said before, I go to Ziax every time I'm in New York City and build with the brother. And I can see where people want to get at the children, because like Frederick Douglass says, it's easier to raise strong children than it is to repair broken men. So I can understand that. But these old mamas, I don't think that they're that important. The children are more important than these old mamas, okay? Because the children have been put into those predicaments usually due to their old mamas, okay? By their mother's bad decision making, by their mother's reckless use of her vagina, by their mother's reckless choice in men, by their mamas being reckless with having the kids at all. Now, you will hear people say that, oh, well, it's the guy's fault too. And let me tell you something. I got something to say about that. When you have a woman who has a kid by a guy and this guy bounces or she never sees him again, fine, I'll give her that. She has another kid by a guy. This guy bounces or she never sees him again. I'll even give her that. Once it gets to be 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, we can't keep giving you that. We can't. At some point, we have to look at you and say, you're the one being stuck with these children. So you should be the one most concerned about having these children. Especially once you done had 1 or 2 and the dudes done bounced, or they dead, or they in jail, or they sleeping under the train tracks, or they on crack, or whatever the case may be. You are the one being stuck with them. So at what point do you start learning? At what point do you say, okay, you know, I'm not going to do this anymore because this has happened to me once. This has happened to me twice. This has happened to me 3 times. This happened to me 4 times. I mean, at what point do we expect you to learn? Forget what the dudes are doing, okay? Because you letting 6 and 7 dudes run up in you and you study popping them out. We have to look at you. We have to look at you side-eyed because, see, you keep trying the same thing over and over and over and over. The only difference is you're doing it with different people. So we have to look at you side-eyed because you are a big part of this, because the only thing everybody in this situation has in common is you. That's it. The only thing everybody, the kids, the dudes, the only thing that everybody has in common is you. You're the one common factor in all those situations. So we have to start looking at you at some point, regardless of what the dudes are doing. Now, I say that to say this because a lot of these societies are inundated with people who have been bred in dysfunction. They've been bred in dysfunction. And we know dysfunction just begets bigger dysfunction.
Hey,
so go ahead. Go ahead, Info Man.
No, I would be Sigma. I just wanted to respond because that made me think of what Info was saying, because you asked the female, when do you stop? And I would say never. And the reason is because we are human beings. We respond to incentives and disincentives. There, in the last 40 years in America, there's been no disincentive for these women not to have a bunch of children, to not be a bunch. In fact, I would say that I've seen shows on TV recently where they're glamorizing being a single mother, where they're throwing parties. I'm talking to babes who will tell me, I'm going to this little baby shower, and the first thing out of my mouth is, so who is the girl? And then she's like, oh, it's such and like, so is she married? They give you the duck. like I just asked them, did they ride a dinosaur or something? I'm like, is the girl married? Is her man, is she getting married? Is she scheduled to get married or something? Nope. So everything it seems like that's going on right now incentivizes this bad behavior. And then you got the good guy, like an Info, coming in and cleaning up. So I don't really understand what the incentive is for these women to stop doing what they're doing if they know that they got a society that's made it socially acceptable to be a single mother, no matter what the damage is to the children. And then you got guys like Info Man who say, well, you just keep bringing all these children out, we'll keep cleaning up. And I know what these men are doing is they're doing
well, you would
I don't think it's that simple, brother. I don't think it's just a matter of go ahead, X. I'll stand back.
All right, go ahead. I just want to say this to Brother Sigma. You would think that the incentive would be to try to have a better life, to try to make a better life for these children. That should be the incentive, because that should be the goal. That's why you don't have 6, because see, if you only had 1 or 2, you probably wouldn't be living in the projects eating roaches. So you would think that having a better life for you and those children who you know don't have a father, or their father's like not in their life at all. I mean, you would think that the children would be the incentive to not have more, because you probably won't be as poor with 1 or 2 than you're going to be with 7 or 8, I would imagine. I mean, it's just like me. I mean, I have a dog in my yard, and he's easy to take care of. It would be harder to take care of 10 of them. You understand? So you would think that itself would be the incentive. I mean, for us to think that these easy obtainable government trinkets that let you know where we are, or should I say it lets you know where some of us are, when these easy obtainable freaking government trinkets can be an incentive for us to not only destroy our lives, but destroy the lives of children. I mean, that lets you know where we are, man. Go ahead, brother Info Man.
Nah, I mean, I don't really think it's simple as just, well, women are having all these kids and we're just cleaning up the community. I mean, I'm not just running to the community every damn minute trying to clean. I mean, it's a matter of, first of all, you know, it's sometimes you want to make change in where you live because everything is local to what you have a connection to. And sometimes, but do that mean that I'm just going to run any and everywhere to try to change something? No. You know what I mean? It's like I have my own personal life. I have my own child to take care of. But this is the question I have. And I know brothers won't like this. One, let's ask I'm going to bring up one question. A, how do we stop this? And B, as men, should we be putting our sperm, our precious sperm, into these women? Because at the end of the day, unless you rape a woman, they can't get pregnant. Unless that woman opens up her legs and give it to you, you can certainly, as a man, take it. But the question is, should we even be? Because I remember AM1 was saying on O'Shea's that maybe we should stop impregnating these women and having babies.
We got to
take a break from that.
See, we got to.
So the question is. I know, brother, but I'm saying, like, for example, I have one child, okay? When I was growing up, I came up through the early 80s, and I saw a lot of teenage pregnancy within the black community at that time. Mm-hmm. I was a brother who never became a teenage father. And the reason why is because I kept seeing my peers having babies, and I was like, shit, I don't want that, because having a child, it slows everything you want down. So I, as a man, was responsible for myself. And that's why to this day, at 48 years old, I don't have 6 and 7 kids all over town. And you know what's funny about this? When I have dated in the past, mm-hmm. One of the things that I find interesting about black women, when we talk about all the kids that they sometimes have, mm-hmm. When they're dating you, the first thing that they want to know of you, of a black man, is how many kids you have. Check this out. Let me tell you what I've experienced. Now I'm gonna make y'all laugh here. I've had women that I've dated, and I'll say I have one child from marriage. I always emphasize I was married because, right. You know, they want to put the stereotype that black men never get married to black women. Mm-hmm. I say I have a child from marriage, one child. And when I say that to the black women that I have encountered, they do a double take and they ask me again because they want to see if I'm lying. How many kids do you have? I'm like, damn, I just told her this not too long ago. I said, once again, I have one child. They almost don't believe. And you know what's funny about it? They almost don't believe that you have just one child, in my case. Then check this out. I had my child a little bit later in my life. So a little bit later in my 30s, right? Yeah. Throughout my 20s, going into my 30s, I would have women that would ask me, do you have any kids? And I would say no. And they would say, you're 36 years old or you're 35 years old and you have no kids. So it's like, as a black man, you can't win for trying. If you got no goddamn kids, they tripping over that. But if you tell them you do have one child, they don't believe you. That's been my experience.
But Info, I have to go back to something that you said that I have to like clarify, because we got to make this.
Okay.
You mentioned the whole. Okay, brother. You asked the question. It's a fair question. You said, should we men be pulling out of these women? Here's the interesting thing. Most black men have no problem not getting women pregnant. See, this is where we have to make the distinction. We're getting close to 50% of black men in America being straight bachelors. They're bachelors. Mm-hmm. And then the other, like, just about 30% of black men are married. So 80% of black men have no problem putting on a condom or not getting women pregnant. It's a very small supply of men that have a problem of putting on a condom and getting these women pregnant. Man, I was reading about some dude who was in prison. He was some D-boy, and he got like 5, 6 of the prison female guards pregnant. One man. We have to make distinctions. There's a small supply of American black men that do the fuckery, but all the other black men that ain't got nothing to do with it, we get blamed for the bad decisions of a lot of women and a few men. So black men don't have a problem. We actually use condoms more than any other race of men in America, from what I've read from the CDC. We're the best fathers from what I've read from the CDC. But the difference is that every other racial group of men in America, if one man does something or a small percentage, well, they're not included in the group. The image of the group stands as a positive. But with black men, even though the mass majority are doing the right thing and not getting women pregnant or marrying the woman that they do get pregnant, they get blamed for the 25% or so of black men that are doing all the degenerate stuff. So black men don't have no problem wearing condoms and things like that. We wear condoms more than any other men in America. But
you're right about that, because that's been my dating experiences where I got my shit together, but now I'm being lumped in with other types of black men that are not so responsible. And you have black women who will go around in their dating experience and they will project. It's called counter transference and projection. They will project onto you their experiences from other men. And I'm certainly, look, I work in psychology, brother, and I don't want to have a relationship with any woman where I have to be her damn therapist. But it's been my experience and my dating experiences, particularly with black women, that I find myself having to be a therapist because they bring a lot of baggage from my experiences, from their past situations, and they project it onto me. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really want this type of shit. And so I move on.
You're in NoCal, so you must have experience with like biracial women and Asian women and things like that. What has your experience been with those women versus the American black women that you've dated? Because you're in NoCal, and there's like a lot of different ethnic groups of women up there, man. Have you experienced those women as well?
Well, the closest I can say to that would be black women that are biracial that I've dealt with. I'm dealing with a woman right now who's a fair-skinned black woman. She doesn't seem to have a lot of hang-ups.
Does she come
She comes from a 2-parent household. And the first thing she told me when I engaged with her, she was very proud of saying that she's black. She's very proud of the fact that her father is black. She says, I am of my father. And then one of the things, it's funny you asked me this question, brother. One of the things that I had a conversation with her about a week ago, and I said, you're the most logical female that I think I've ever dealt with. When we talk to each other, she's very logical, brother. She's an alpha. I would say she's an alpha. I'm dealing with an alpha female, so she's very logical. And when it's kind of it's refreshing, but it's kind of like off-putting for me because I'm like, damn, I'm so used to dealing with women who are very overly emotional, which I know it's their nature to be emotional, but over emotional. When I'm trying to work and do what I got to do, they want all this attention. With her, she's always telling me, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. She totally understands. I don't deal with the same drama with this woman. And it's just something about her. Now, these kind of women are out there, but sometimes it's almost like a needle in a haystack. When you find one of them, it's like, boom, you better say, wait a minute, this one I better hold on to because this one's got some unique things. And this would trip me out, brothers, not to be so long-winded here. I was involved with another female, and this is the thing we have to always look at. When you're with a female, always look at what do they eat? What do they put in their body? And what kind of conversation are we having? She's probably about one of the only female right now that I have been involved with where we're having intellectual conversations. I don't want to be with women who all they want to talk about is the latest purse and lipstick. Me and her talk about conspiracy theories. We talk about stuff like we talk about on here. We talk about science. So I'm like, damn, this woman. Then I look at the shit that she eat. She'll tell me, she'll tell me, nah, you might want to leave that alone because this is what it'll do to your internal body part. Right? Your internals, right? I'm like, damn, this woman is like a encyclopedia of health knowledge. I'm like, shit. So when I look at that, I say, okay, this is a woman that could benefit me. We always got to look at what does this woman do? We always look at what we're supposed to do for women because society says we're supposed to be providers. But brothers, do we often look at what can this woman do for me emotionally, and educationally, what have you. We tend to look at women by what can she do for me in the bed, not like sex like the next man. But I think that's part of the problem in the black community. And maybe I'm wrong for this. Do you believe that the black community is over sexualized, which is one reason why you having all these damn kids?
Absolutely.
I know it's a big loaded. I know it's a loaded question. I'll be quiet now so other brothers can talk.
I don't even think that's a loaded question, but I'll let MOT go ahead and jump in because I see much. But I would just say that I don't think that's a loaded question. I think that it's quite obvious that American black people in particular are an over sexualized culture in all, like, you know, even in entertainment, even in the real world. I think it's the one area where they feel like it's a comfort zone for them, is like, you know, the sexual arena. And they kind of embrace it because society has shown that, you know, a lot of the other institutions, you know, blacks aren't really as in the aggregate, you know, dominating or mastering those other fields. But the sexual thing is almost a primitive thing, meaning all living creatures have sex. So it's like that one area where any living creature feels good about, because it's like every creature can have sex, but not everyone can build a business. Not everyone can sit down and read like a 500-page book to learn a new skill, or have the discipline to make the kind of decisions that will have long-term consequences, even though in the short term you don't see any profit. But sex, it's immediate, it's natural, and it doesn't take all that much experience to get good at it. So I think that you're right about that. But I'll let MOT go.
Yeah, I want to chime in on that. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go, brother MOT, and then I'm gonna chime in. Then we're gonna go to Why You Mad TV. Go ahead, brother.
It's kind of like it's really overdone from the female perspective, but it's really kept away from the male perspective. Because if you have all these women with kids, and then you have 43% of black men who don't have kids, that means there's a lot of dudes out there who's just not engaging, and isn't even in the position to engage. So it's kind of like a purposeful shortage to kind of make it kind of more important, and a lot of men get their validation through access to sex. So that's why it's kind of coveted in that type of perspective. So
Yeah, well, far as the over sexualization of black folks, that too kind of falls back on our female population, because somewhere between 70 and 75% of our young black girls are molested by the time they're 18. Now you talking 3 out of 4.
That high?
Yes, 3 out of 4. It's somewhere between 70 and 75%. Okay, and that's just the reported stuff. That's just the reported stuff. So when you talking about 3 out of 4 of our young black girls, I mean 1 out of 4 of our young black boys are molested by the time they're 16. So you talking about children who are growing up sexualized. Now, it's more so with women, I mean female children, than it is men. So I go back there. When you have a society of females where you're talking 3/4 of the population are being molested as young children, they grow up with the ideal that, you know, this is my value, this is my worth, this is what men are after. And usually what happens is our young women have had more sexual contact than most of our young men, because, you know, they've been seeing grown man penises ever since they were 9 and 10. So now that they're 15, 16, 17, they're well versed around, you know, they know their way around a grown man's penis. So they're not even scared. They're not even when I was growing up, and I'm in my late 40s. I mean, when I was a young guy, teenager, I mean, girls were scared of your penis. You know, you whip that suck out, they're like, oh my God, you know. But now they are not afraid of the sexual contact. They are not afraid of the sexual consequences. So when you have an over sexualized population, like you said earlier, brother Sigma, you have people who have that one thing that anyone can do. like you said, not everyone can start a business. Not everyone can read a 500-page book. Not everyone can invent something. Not everyone's going to college. Not everyone's going to have a career. Not everyone's going to get married. But everybody can have sex. Everybody can get on their back. Everybody can bust a nut. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, and I say this a lot, and I know this probably pisses black folks off, but I don't give a shit. We have a tendency we want to obtain as opposed to achieve. And the easiest way to obtain something, obtain validation, obtain attention, obtain a sense of self-worth is to have sex with somebody, even if that sex is unprotected. You understand?
Yep.
Even if that sex is unprotected. So it's easy for these young men and these young women to obtain that because they haven't been taught a culture of achievement.
And Prophet, a lot of that, it's not just these young girls and it's not just these hood girls either, because I'm getting tired of everyone making it like it's just them, because I run into I only deal with educated type women. That's all I deal with. But you'll be surprised that many of these women are more insane than the hood rats and the younger women. Some of these girls, like college educated, they be the first one sexting you, talking about, I can't wait till you dick me down and pull off the condom.
Let me first off, appreciate props to you, Brother X, and to the panel. Thank you for having me on. I think sometimes we keep missing the elephant in the room, and you got to think about towards with these kids in the households, who's raising them. You know, I think we keep missing that point. You know, most of these women are raised, these women and these young men are raised in single parent households.
Yep.
They see it over generations of, especially in the black communities, is mostly black women. They pick that off from what they see in at home. You have these women who actually don't give a fuck. They're not discreet. They do what they want to please to do. And this is what these kids pick. They pick that shit off on. They see it, you know. I mean, I think sometimes, you know, we try to I don't know, make excuses about it. I'm not gonna say everybody. I mean, a lot of people are starting to speak about it, and I think this is a hot topic. And I'm glad to see more brothers are talking about this. But we still keep excusing, like, really who's really causing this. You know, you got these women in these communities that bring these men in their households, and you still, you know what I mean, some of these men that has abused not only the girls, the men, the boys too, and they get a pass. And I think that's bullshit. I think we really need to stop, you know what I mean, pointing out really what is the problem. I mean, if you have a 2-parent household, especially with a father in a household, I mean, what is if you look at the stats, how many, if you could look in the stats, how many does it show with a man in the household that these little girls get abused?
That I was just reading those stats earlier before you came on, and damn, I gotta bring it back. I read that to MOT and them earlier, but it was like 80% rape or something like that. So it kind of, because he said it was 3/4 of black females are molested before they're adults, and based on the stuff that I read to him and MOT earlier, that matches up with the level of like rape, because a lot of the things that the black male, the black child sees, he will take that anger out when he gets older. So it's like if he grew up watching his mom be a thought, or you know, she was not being indiscreet and having sex in front of him, things like that. These are the kind of guys that grow up to be the rapists. Like the stats that I read to him earlier said that 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes, 20 times the national average. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. And he just added that 3/4 of all black women before they're adults are molested. Yet, here we are in a country where the data is out there, the information is out there, and no one's talking about it but a few black men here on YouTube it's almost like if you tell the truth about these fatherless homes and the condition of these gynocentric communities, you're a misogynist for pointing this out because you're saying that Black women are failed parents, because that's what it boils down to, is that they took the bait from the white feminists who ironically have gotten nothing but benefits from feminism. Whereas when I look at the American Black woman in the aggregate, it's been a total loss for them. It's been a total loss.
But I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, that, everybody in the world see this though. It's on a national stage now that, with the Black community, it's a failed community. I mean, what is it going to take for them to understand that the shit is not working? See, that's my issue, period. Because you see it daily on the news. These kids are losing their lives.
You know what it is, Rod? I think when you ask that question, because one of the brothers asked the same thing, and I can hear the frustration in you guys' voice, but I think what it is that for a lot of American Blacks, it's going to be a total loss. And what I mean is, like, if you study the Native Americans, the process in which the whites went about dominating them and decimating their numbers from 100 million down to literally about 500,000 pure Native Americans in America now, right? And I think that, unfortunately, and this is something that maybe a lot of Blacks don't want to think about, but you may end up having a situation where a lot of these Blacks are going to be put on some kind of reservations, left from regular society, because no one wants to deal with it anymore. And it's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. But look, if men like you are thinking about this and very frustrated with the outcome, everyone at some point is going to say, I can't do this no more. Like, I can't. This society is becoming more and more competitive, more and more complex, which means that a person has to be lighter and lighter on their feet, more and more efficient to compete out here, because the inflation keeps moving all the prices up on everything, housing prices, food costs. It's going up. It's not going down.
But what I'm saying is the writing is on the wall. You see it. It's right in front of you. I mean, What more do you need to see, okay, that you need to change the shit up? I mean, it's been over 50, 60 years of this shit.
Man,
of women-led communities, and it's a failure. I mean, what more do you need to see that you need men? You need to have men in these communities.
Well, you don't have the overall cooperation. That's the problem, man.
Most men are just fed up. Most men of consequence are just fed up, and I'm gonna be talking about that this Thursday. So you brothers need to come on down to DXL Thursday night.
Yes,
but I mean, most men are just fed up. Most men of consequence who have their shit together, they're just fed up with bullshit. They're just like, all the YouTube streams and all the YouTube hangouts isn't going to change the mind of these dudes. It's just not.
But let me say this,
they have already left the building. They fed up with the bullshit. They're not coming back. They're not coming back to the community and help build. A lot of them just are not doing it because they are just fed up with Black society. Even though a lot of these brothers are from Black society, a lot of these brothers was raised in the hood. A lot of these brothers came from baby mama homes and had no father. And a lot of these brothers are just fed up. And I think these are the brothers who are going to go somewhere else, and they're going to build something somewhere else because they see the empire falling. They see the increase of the dysfunction. They see it. Now you have brothers like Infoman. You have brothers like MOT who go out there and do things, inside these societies. I mean, myself, I hire young brothers. I don't have a problem hiring young brothers or none of that. But I also, on the other side of that, I also see more and more dysfunction. I see more and more people being led by their genitals as opposed to being led by their minds. I see more and more children suffering. And that's the real sad part about this, because I don't care. You can go out there and fuck whoever you want. Do whatever you want, but don't bring children into these bad situations to suffer, for them to half eat, for them to be abused, for them to be molested, for them to grow up in poverty, go to shitty schools, live in shitty neighborhoods. I mean, my problem is bringing children into this shit. That's my problem. Bringing children into this shit. And you can stop it. I mean, you can stop it. All right. It's not like we can't stop it. We can stop bringing children into these bad situations, man. We can stop that shit tomorrow. We can stop it. But many of us will not. Some of us will, but most of us will not. We won't. We'll continue to do it, continue to do it, continue to do it, continue to do it. And that's what I think the problem is. I think that we are so caught up in these repetitive cycles that there's no way out for many of us. I mean, some of us will find a way out, of course, but for many of us, there is no way out. So we just keep repeating it because we don't want to leave that comfort zone, because often dysfunction is that comfort zone and we like it. And we'll continue to live in it.
Good point.
Continue to live in it.
But not to cut anybody off, apologize, but I just wanted to say something right quick in regards to that. But I mean, why do we continue this? Like, I mean, like here, Illinois, they basically tore down the projects. You know, I don't consider these areas now as the hood, because honestly, they done built new property, new townhouses, and other structures. They made and moved them back up in there. They still continue on the fucking bullshit. So I mean, when do we got to start realizing we have to take the blame? Now, I'm not saying black men. I mean, at the end of the day, I see here on YouTube a lot of black men are trying to fight for, trying to get this shit right. But I mean, when are we really go call out really who's really the problem? If they're not listening, to us, I mean, at the same time, you just got to let them sit there and go off their own devices. I mean, it is what it is. I don't want that.
Well, I know someone they always listen to, and that's the only person they listen to. They listen to White Daddy and White Mommy. And what's going on? And what's happening is that White Daddy is cutting off the spigot. I've been talking to some women I know who were a part of the Section 8 program. And they were telling me that a lot of landlords, they're refusing to even take Section 8 now from these broads, because they say that getting that free voucher money ain't even worth it, because these broads come through with their kids, their friends, and tear their shit up. And so even though it's free money coming from the government, from taxpayers for these women, man, it's a lot of landlords saying, you know what, it's not even worth it no more. And I'm talking about, this is like a huge thing right now in urban America, where a lot of these landlords collectively, they refuse to take these vouchers now. See, so when you ask, when is it going to change? I don't think it's going to change. Not for most of us. I think that we stuck in a cycle that started sometime after the Civil Rights Act of 64. Something since 1964, 1965, something went terribly, terribly wrong to get us here in 2018 where we're at. I mean,
the feminist movement. But that's what happened. The feminist movement.
I mean, this was the expected cycle that was going to happen if this stuff were to proceed unchecked. That all black men would have to be able to be like, we can't do any of this. You women, the quiet ones, you have to get out there and publicly shame the hell out of these women, because we're not coming back. That's what it's going to have to come down to.
I totally agree with that. I've been waiting for it, and you're seeing it slowly happen, but at the same time, I kind of just don't believe in it, because at the same time, we getting a heavy casualty. You got these black boys losing their lives, and that bothers me. And then it's just not the boys, it's the girls too, So I mean, what would it take? Listen, hold on, let me say it, because see, now I started really fucking getting upset, because you got these mothers. These are mothers, single mothers, seeing them watching their kids die in front of them, and they not saying anything, telling these other women like, we need to stop doing this. We need to start having fucking men in our houses. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, What really would it take?
I think your frustration is coming from the fact that you're trying to apply logic to a people who operate in such an irrational way. And I think that's where your frustration is coming from, because for you, this is just like some elementary type of thing to understand. But I think for those that are on the ground level that are living these lives, I don't think they think anything's wrong.
No, they don't.
They've normalized this shit, man. A lot of this shit has been normalized. That is the problem.
Yes.
The only way the tide is going to turn for a lot of these people, man, is for them to get it in their head and figure out that this shit is not normal, which I don't think is going to happen, because a lot of people were raised in the same shit. So they were raised in this shit. So they see it as normal. They think that this is normal. It's normal for you to have 5 and 6 baby daddies. It's normal for you to live in poverty. It's normal for you, while your kids lay in the room hungry, to be in your damn room on Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook trying to get likes. It's normal for you, for your kids to grow up in a shitty neighborhood, going to shitty schools, getting shitty educations, dying in the streets, for your daughters to be baby mamas just like you. This shit is normal to these people, man.
Prophet,
it's normal.
I've seen single mothers with dirty kitchens on IG with one of their young sons holding the camera while she is up there like literally in like a thong shaking her ass for the like. I've seen
it's normal. It's normal.
But it's starting to become genocide. We're killing ourselves off. I mean, when
they're trying to make them more and come and rescue them, but that's not how that works.
Yeah.
And they want to do is project their unconscious shame onto us by severely messing up their lives, so that way we can come running. So what these kids are, they're just unwilling pawns and hostages that people just don't want to deal with.
They're pawns and hostages that produce an income, because they do bring in checks and they do act as a credit card for the government. So that tax credit, those Section 8, that welfare, that EBT. So those kids are hostages that produce an income. So it's like a paradox for these women in that situation, because they know they're not qualified to be mothers. They know that if they were those childs, they would kill themselves rather than be raised by them. But there's that incentive because they get money off of these children. So it's like this children is a source of income, but also an obstacle to her being able to move and shake like she wants to. It's just it's so backwards, bro. Like, that's why I can feel why, you know?
It is.
Right.
Well,
I'm like, if you really look at it, it's not really.
Hold up, I want to get Info Man in here. He ain't said nothing in a while. Brother Info Man, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening, learning. You know, everybody's making great points. I want to throw this out there, because I've heard people talk about this. Are the symptoms or the problems that we're seeing, how much of this have to do with something that is innate with Black people in this country, or how much of it is just a part of the matrix of American society? How much of this is in the culture of this society? Because when you look at other groups, let's say Chinese, Arabs, with their women, when they come to this country, they come over here with their culture intact, their language. They're in their own communities. They have they have their own businesses, and they maintain whatever the cultural norms are in terms of the relationship between a man and a woman. And those of us that have lived in this country for God knows how many years, like Black folks, how much of it is the American culture that has bastardized our community?
I'm gonna say it's the culture. It's the culture, because we're prolonging it. You know, I mean, honestly, as time goes on, we intensifying it. You know, we already knew it was fucked up. We knew it was fucked up with the 90s, when the gangster rap. But then we sit there and say, all right, we saw that it was fucked up and changed it around and say, hey, let's make some peaceful rap. No, we continue it. We keep it going. I mean, we keep feeding the machine.
Well, let me throw this at you on a psychological level. Do you believe or think or could buy into the notion that one of the reasons that Black people in some way we could be attracted to the wretched, such as the partying, drinking, let's have a good time, and sex as a symptom of the bigger issue of stress. The fact in this society, as we live in this society, we don't have much power. Of course, there's racism. There's all these various things, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're living in a society where you're not really seen as a citizen, you're not treated well, what do most people do? Like a person who's in pain, some people do. They will turn to what? Drugs, some form of escape.
Yeah, you're talking about escapism.
I think black people, some black people engage in the sexual behavior. Our women, and we behave in the partying. And I got the Nike shoes, I got the latest car, I got the latest whatever. We like the flashy things, and we're trying to these ratchet type things because it's something to allow us to escape from the true pain that we really have living in American society. So if you can replace that with something that makes you feel good, you ain't got no money, you ain't got no damn computer to get your ass in school. But if I got the latest Nike shoes, I used to see this growing up, then I feel good because I got the latest shoes, I got the latest kicks on. So it makes me feel good to cover up the pain that's really inside me self-consciously and psychologically. What do y'all think about that?
I think that's
can I speak right quick? I think hold on, I want to say this right quick. No, I want to blacks see us as blacks. We glorify that. Like us and other nationalities, they really don't put it out there in the forefront like we do. And
yeah, because
I also say
we always trying to impress each other.
No, but you also I kind of disagree with the money aspect, that you do have black people that make money off that. You know, other than others. They don't,
like Bob Johnson. He made a lot of money off of it.
Right. White society don't look at it that way. Other than with us, we it's like we glorify it, and that's all I want to say. My bad, brother.
So let me keep this in mind though. You never compare us to white society, because when white society is in control, so therefore white society has never been put in a position of inferiority or feeling inferior about themselves. They've been in a position of power. So when you're in a position of power, you don't have any need to internalize that type of stuff.
That's not necessarily true, because if you...
Why is that not true, brother? Have black folks been in a position of power?
I'll give you an example. Because if you study the history of America, you will realize that whiteness was a sociological...
Yeah, it's a social construct. I understand
it was constructed over time. See, remember, when a lot of these like Eastern Europeans came here to America, they were treated like dog shit.
They were fighting each other. That's right. That's right.
They lived in rat-infested dwellings. They had prostitution issues. They had tuberculosis issues. They were treated like the lowest common denominator. But over time, even though they went through those conditionings, they managed to assimilate themselves and then put themselves in a competitive position that the dominant Anglo-Saxons had to horse trade with them, because they were becoming a threat.
But you still can't compare the experience of the American black in this country to where white people are now. We know that through history, white people were warring on each other. So they were killing each other, pillaging, everything was about power. You're absolutely right. But I just think too often we spend a lot of time as black people comparing ourselves to white people as if white people are the shining example. We need to just focus on what our problems are. Stop comparing ourselves to white people. That's oranges and apples. White people in power. They control banking institutions.
I like comparing myself to white people.
No. I never. By comparing yourself to white people, you're already putting yourself in an inferior position.
No. I'm gonna tell you how I got in law school.
Because we're not in. We don't have the structures that they have, brother. We still trying to build something. I'll listen to you. I'll listen.
Let me give you an example of how I got into law school. You know, if I did what you said, I wouldn't be in law school. I wouldn't be going to law school. When I looked at the test scores for Asians and whites, and then I looked at a chart. They had a chart of all the people that took the LSAT and the GRE. And it listed people by race. And on the bottom, it had Native Americans and blacks. And at the top, it had Asians and whites. I compared myself to those Asians and whites, and I said, I don't want to be the top black score on here. I want to be at the top of this fucking list of scores for all black people, so that when I get admitted to these schools, they will see my black ass, dark skinned face walking through them hallways. I'm definitely going to compare myself to Asians. I'm definitely going to compare myself to white people, because I want to succeed above them. They taking all of this pie. They getting all this Silicon Valley money. They getting all this money. I want that money too.
Brother, I've been competing all my life. You're looking at a brother that's been competing all his life. But check this out. When I grew up, my family simply told me, you're black and beautiful. Be the best you can be. When I went to college, when I went to school, even on my job, I don't go to work every day saying, see, this is one of the problems we have as black people. Throughout history, we've always told our black children, you got to be 10 times better than white people. No, my mother just told me, you got to be the best. So we need to get into an ideology of teaching our kids to be the best. So when I went to school or when I'm at work, I don't spend a lot of time saying I gotta be where white people gonna be. I spend my time saying I'm gonna be the goddamn best. Now, if that puts me over white people, if that puts me overachieving, that puts me past people, whether Chinese or whatever race, then that's what it's gonna do. It's just, to me, I'm gonna compete, but I'm not gonna spend a lot of time using white people as my barometer. I am the goddamn barometer. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
And that's
Right.
I don't need.
Let me hold on. I want to go to my man Q Butter. He just jumped on. Brother Q, you there?
Yo, what's good, family? What's good, family?
I don't know how long you've been listening, man. You want to chime in on this?
Yeah, a couple of I've been listening back and forth. I had to run to the store. First, I would like to say I think the tone, you know, I know we got to get it off our chest and stuff, but sometimes the tone or the context of the conversation, or rather the overtones of the conversation, can come off really negative. Just listening back, you know what I mean? And something I get from reggae music, you know, I used to get like words sound power. Some of the words that we choose to describe the situations that we have, we give it a lot more strength than what we do. So, you know, I would just employ some of us while we're speaking, you know, to use maybe words like challenge, you know, because if you listen to like 5 live streams, you'll hear people say, you know, the problem with black people, you know, the problem with black people, you know, the problem with black people, you know, the problem with black people. And it's like, bro, you know, none against anybody on the platform, but, you know, I would just suggest that, you know, challenge, you know, one of the challenges that black people face, just use positive words and reinforcement. Because what we're doing right now is positive, and everything y'all are saying is actually, you know, y'all are exemplifying the fact that that we're gonna be here, that our resilience, our ability to come together no matter what. And so this is here, you know, so we're gonna find a way to get through it. You know, we just got to continue to focus on that. So I'm gonna sit back and listen right now. I just wanted to say that.
Hey, but can I say this? As me, you know, as I look in the black community, I don't see nothing positive. So I can't really, you know, really say that. You know, I got to speak on what I see, and if I want change, I got to be real about what I see. You know, no pun to you, but I got to say it, you know, as I see it. So I don't see nothing positive here.
Well,
so,
that's where I have to disagree with you, brother. Why you mad TV? Because I do see positivity. The man who just got off the line right now, that's my man right there. That's my people. And let me tell you something. He's doing great things, and he's doing great things in the hood. He's not doing it in middle income America or high society Black America. He's doing great things in the hood. So I'm not going to co-sign that, because I see great things, and not just from him. I see it from other people as well. Now, do I want to see more of it? You're goddamn right. But I do see great things. See, the thing is this. It's not that Black society doesn't have greatness in and out of it. I mean, I ain't even going to sit up here and say that. There's greatness all over Black society. I just feel like we need a little more of that greatness, and we need to be supporting those. If we're not doing great things ourselves, we need to be supporting those who are doing great things. That's all.
No, I agree. I totally agree. What I said is what I see. I'm not saying that it's not great things happening. What I'm saying is what I see. What I see. That's me. Now, towards with the young, the brother that is doing great things, I salute you, and to anybody else that's doing it, keep it going. We need this. But what I was saying is what I see. What I'm here, I don't see it. It's not too many other brothers stepping up, trying, you know, to bring that positivity. I mean, and just having the conversation about it, I think that's a start. You know, I'm not going to guess it. Yeah, I believe that we need more brothers doing more positive thing for the community. I'm not going to guess that. I'm just telling you what I see.
what Info said, I take that as a positive. See, I take that. See, he said the same thing I said, but in a different way. See, I was a high school athlete, and I was always good at sports, right? So I have a competitive nature about me just naturally. I love competing. So for Info Man, he says that he was told to be the best. I was always told to be better than the next man. So he said be the best, but I was taught to get first place, right? So he found his motivation in that. I like succeeding against the stereotypes. I try to live my life every day as an anti-stereotype. People always ask, well, how do you give back? I give back by trying to not be a stereotype. So for me, it is a positive to compete because no matter how you want to sugarcoat it, we're in a world of scarcity. We're in a world that bases its system on somebody is going to get more than the next person, period. We can sugarcoat it. We can say it in any way. But at the bottom line, in this society we have, is based on resources. And the way the system is set up, these resources are going to be to those that are the most competitive. There ain't no way around it. That's just how it's going to be. So what I say, whether you take Info Man's approach and you wake up every day and say, I'm going to be the best. I'm not looking at who else is against me. Or you take my approach and you say, this person right here did this. I'm going to go a step further than that so I can be in first place. As long as you're out here trying to compete, then you're doing so much for the community. Because that's one of our problems as American Black people is that we're taught not to compete in anything but sports and entertainment. We have to start waking up wanting to be the best and be number one in STEM. We have to wake up wanting to be the best in the educational fields. In all of these different sectors of the economy, we have to wake up like that. So, I mean, people are going to take a different approach in what motivates them. I just know that me personally, I like competition. I always have. That's why even now I still do like endurance competitions because it's just a part of me. Info Man, he just wants to be the best. And I salute that because that's a solution. Being the best is a solution. Because if you're the best at something, then you don't have anything to worry about because you're going to outcompete everyone else that's fighting for them same resources. Our problem is that we've limited ourselves to like the lowest common denominators of competition. That's why even in the fields that we excel at beyond anyone else, like basketball and football, where the athletes are like 75% Black, those people still have not been able to get into the ownership class of these leagues. If Jews were the top 75% of athletes, they would own the teams and they would be the athletes on the team. With Blacks, we're just on the team getting a check cut to us. But if it was Jews or Arabs or any other group, they would own the whole league. They would control the product and they would control the output and everything. So
let me go here. Let me go here because we got a female on the panel, and I want to ask you, Lady Thalia, what do you see? What's your perception of Black society through the eyes of a woman? Like, I mean, you hear the brothers talk, you hear what they say, you hear the perspectives. I mean, what's your take on it as a Black woman? What is your take on the saving of Black folk or the destiny of Black folk? What's your take on it?
I think it's starting now with these talks and these conversations and women like me and Ruby realizing what's going on. Well, I always knew that what was going on was fucked up, and I always spoke about it, but people looked at me weird a lot. And it's now coming to the forefront where you have situations where artificial intelligence are going to take over medial jobs, where tax cuts are going to be bigger than ever. So the women are going to naturally change, but there are going to be some women who are going to just really don't know how to adapt to situations. And these are the women that are going to really die off and fall by the wayside. And then you're going to have some women who are in the middle who realize, oh shit, I've been playing this game and now the game's running out. Now I got to get my shit up, but like I done fucked up, so how I'm going to do this? And there's going to be some sucker who's going to marry her. And then you got women like me who already saw this coming and we're like, you know what? I'm going to hold out. So you're going to have the haves and have-nots. You're going to have the middleman, the rich man, and the poor man. You're gonna have a lot of dynamic changing. So it's gonna be ugly, and I think a lot of kids, unfortunately, are gonna fall by the wayside because their mothers were irresponsible. But
Well,
all
let me ask you this, because you mentioned, I've spoke to you before, and you're a virgin, right?
yes,
You never had sex with a man or none of that. So you're in the lower percentage of black women. I know that will piss people off, but you're in the lower percentage of black women at your age. So what made you say, okay, I'm not gonna have kids, I'm not going to be out there sexing, I'm not going to be out there slanging it around, I'm going to wait, I'm going to do it right? What made you think that? What put you in that mind state?
well, my mind state was I grew up in a Christian home, and like my grandmother was very strict on my mom back in the day. Um, And my mom, when she got into college, she graduated and she was looking for a job. She was like 27 at the time where she met my dad and she got pregnant with me. So my mom and my dad decided to have a shotgun wedding, but you know, and I asked my mother like, "Why did you stay with him?" And she told me the reason why I stayed with him is because I did not want to end up like those women who have 4 or 5 baby daddies. And it made sense. It just made sense. So then came me and my brother and sister. Well, first me, then my sister, and then my brother. And then like the relationship wasn't working out, and they just got a divorce. My mom got remarried, and my dad got remarried too, you know, as well. But like as for me as a kid, like I was the type. I don't know. I just felt like something about laying down with a person that you're not gonna be with for the rest of your life, giving your soul away, it scared the shit out of me. It's not about getting just pregnant that scared the shit out of me or the disease, but like something about that spiritual part. How there's like the old saying that they say that if a woman sleeps more than one multiple dudes, she loses herself. She's gone crazy. She's like lot left. And I really think that happens because I've seen women like that. It's like they're like totally different people with multiple different personalities.
Talking about imprinting.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me.
That's shocking.
So
I can't believe a woman like you is saying these things because it's almost like you would think that a woman like you don't even exist with those kind of standards. That's so sad that it's almost like shocking to hear an American black woman that has the kind of standards and the respect for her own body that you have, because it's not something I've run across. So,
We
just
need more. We need more of this. We need more of this. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go down the panel again. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go to MOT. I ain't heard from him in a while. Then we're gonna circle around to Info Man. Then we'll come back to my man brother Q, and then we'll go to Why You Mad. Go ahead, brother MOT.
Yeah, I'm about to get off here. I'm about to go to bed. It was a good talk. It's just some things that we just need to keep going because these kids are suffering the consequences, and I don't see how we can be able to turn this around without the help of the women and without their respect or even them listening. I don't even see how this could possibly be turned around. So I don't know, man.
I agree. I agree. It's going to take everybody. It's not just going to take one group or another group. It's going to take everybody, because what's at stake is a lot of black folks' future, and a lot of black folks' future. I'll say this again: are the black children. I mean, when you talk about black society's future, the children are it. Okay, let us be clear. Because they're going to be here long after our black asses is dead and gone. So, I mean, we need to be investing more into them, and we need to be more conscientious of not only what we're teaching them, counseling them in, showing them. We need to be a little more conscientious about having them in the first place, and who we're having them with, where we're having them at, and what we're doing to provide for them. I mean, we need it's going to take it's a lot of things. Okay, it's a lot of things that we need to do. There's a lot of things we need to change. There's a lot of things we need to improve for their sake, not so much of ours, for theirs. I mean, because I'll say again, I think Black children are very important, and we need to be just a little more conscious, man, of what we're bringing them into and how we raising them and rearing them and grooming them and what we're teaching them. I mean, I can't say that shit enough. But I appreciate you coming on, brother MOT. Like I said, Thursday night, we're going to be talking about what happens when a man's fed up. You're welcome to come on through if you want to, brother. 9:30 p.m. Eastern time.
All right. Thanks, man. You have a nice one.
All right, brother.
Bye.
All right, we're going to circle around and go to brother Info Man.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I just want to say, I want to thank you, brother, for having me on. It's great to have this discourse with the other brothers on here, because it allows me to really examine my life, you know, things that I can improve on. Allows me to examine the Black community and some of the things that are going on and what's wrong and in terms of solutions. So I hope that we can change some things around. I think the first step is Black men have to decide to don't impregnate women that you don't feel are worthy of you best you can, and stay on your purpose and on your goals. I don't know what else I can add, brother. It's just been a great, I'm going to be getting off too myself. I've got to get I'm a little bit tired myself. I've been on these streams all week, and but I don't know what else I can add. I think I just been hearing a lot of positive stuff from brothers tonight.
Make sure you come through Thursday, man. You know, it's always a good thing, man, when you're on those DXL streams, man. So make sure you come Thursday
I
night,
really
brother.
appreciate it, man. I'm gonna come back on, and some of these brothers that I got to get you all on my platform too, man, to have some other discussions. So I'm gonna be looking to try to make contact with some of the brothers that are on here.
Well, come on,
the interview
on Wednesday,
okay,
Wednesday,
definitely.
5 p.m. Pacific. Come on, Mr. Research.
Yeah. And I definitely got to get Brother Prophet on my show to interview him and everything. That's kind of like my style. I like to interview people and definitely to see what their experiences are. So I need to get all you brothers on for exclusive interviews, brother. That's kind of my stick.
Well, you got all my information, so just hit me up. You know.
Oh yeah, I will do that. But great discussion. Gave me a lot of thought, a lot on my mind about this. So thank you for having me on board.
Have a good night.
Same to you all, brothers. Have a good night,
brother. I'll see you Thursday, brother.
Okay, I'll be there Thursday. Take care.
Peace. All right, brother Q. Brother Q still there?
Yeah, I'm here, King.
All right. So what's your final thoughts, man, before we wrap this thing up?
One talk to do a lot of the brothers position on the females in the community. I really don't have that sentiment. You know, the females give me a lot of love. They're very supportive, very much supportive. And I employ any of the brothers, just start a program, start doing stuff on your own. You know, find ways to fix up some of the things that you see need to be fixed in your community. And I guarantee that you're going to see women on the front line with you, probably just faster than you'll see some brothers get on the front line with you. And that'll keep you from, you know, being so quick to just condemn the other gender. You know, this whole gender thing is kind of lame to me. We're men, we wolves. There's our community. You know, I was hearing people say, like, you know, Black men don't want to clean it up. Like, if we don't clean it up, then nobody else will. You know, if we don't fight against this enemy, nobody else will. Either you supporting white supremacy or you fighting against it. It's that simple. You know what I mean? So for me, you know, staying positive at all times, focusing on the mission, you know, making sure that the mission is clear, the objectives are understood, making sure that, you know, we're fluid and able to adjust at any time to the different, you know, parameters and situations that could present themselves at any given time. That's what we do as men. That's what we do as wolves. And so we got to stay on our feet with that. And as we stay on our feet and build and develop our camps and our movements, you know, the sisters that are going to align to us, they're going to come to us, whether be it to help or be in need of help. And either way, you know, us being in our square is going to give us a position to receive the sisters that's coming to us with either way they are, and be able to deal with them whatever way we can in the best way possible. You know what I mean? With that being said, you know, Black Power, Black Power, Black Power.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna hit you up, man. You know, we gotta get up, man. I miss you, man. The freaking I was out there, brother, and it's but we'll talk on that. We'll talk on that. I'll let you know what went down. There's some crazy shit out there in NYC, man. That's why I couldn't get over there and holler at you, man, like I wanted to, man. Some crazy shit happened, but we'll talk on that in the back rooms. You know what I'm saying?
All right, ain't nothing.
All right. I appreciate you coming on. You know, you're my people, man.
I'm about to go live. I was waiting for you to wrap up. I'm gonna go live real quick for little son.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming through, brother. And you can come through on Thursday too, man. We're gonna be doing a little something Thursday night as well. So feel free to come through. You know you're my man, so you're always welcome on my spot.
All right, definitely.
All right, my brother. Peace.
Have a good night.
Brother, why you mad? Any final thoughts?
Yes, sir. And, I would like to say appreciate you for having me on, letting me on the panel. I agree with the brother Q was saying. I want to more say that, you know, we need more of us black men coming together, you know, from all fields of all situations. You know, I see this a lot on YouTube, is that we're going against each other, but we actually have the same end goal. You know, and we need to stop that. We need to figure this out. Like when I have two teenage sons, and looking in their face, in their eyes, is what led me here on YouTube, you know, to speak out, because I rather, you know, to see my sons walking across that stage than seeing them on a news station of something that happened to them. So yeah, that's why I come on here and I voice my concern. And I like to see it's more brothers coming on YouTube and voicing their concern. And it should be more brothers doing the same thing. And we just need to just, you know, come together. You know, it got to start somewhere. And it could just start from our voice and us talking, having a discourse, like Information Man said. I appreciate it, brothers. Thank you. I mean, we need to have more conversations like this.
Oh yeah,
appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
You have a good night, Anthony.
You invited to come through on Thursday as well, brother. Thursday.
AJ, you're gonna be on there on Wednesday, right, with Mr. Research?
Yeah. I mean, I know King. You were supposed to be having me and you supposed to been getting up with somebody, but I don't know. But I don't.
Pacific.
Right. I don't know, because I'll probably be starting the second job, but I mean, if not, I'm gonna try to get there, you know, because that's a convo I love to have with you, brothers. We need to talk about the Gen X and the millenniums. Hopefully I could be there, bro. But if not, I'll let you guys know ahead of time.
All right, have a good night.
Peace, brother.
All right, you too, guys. Thank you. Peace. Thank you.
Brother Sigma, and then we'll end up with Lady Thalia.
You know, just thanks for having me on the panel tonight. I think it was a very, you know, good and civil discussion, and it's nice to hear, you know, opinions from cats and schools of thought. And I think that I don't know if the black community can be saved in its current manifestation, but hearing all of you talk, I know that a new community will be built wherever we happen to be 10, 20 years from now. So I would just say that if anyone is around on Wednesday, Mr. Research is going to be putting together a panel talking about the millennials versus the Gen X versus the boomers and the other living generations, and who is most responsible for the current image of the black American in the world. So I'll just leave it at that.
That shit gonna be good. I might have to come through. I might have an interview. I might have an interview Wednesday night though, so I have to see. I have to see what's going on.
What time is the interview on Wednesday?
9:30.
Okay, well, this is going to be earlier than that. The Mr. Research is on California time at 5 p.m. So I'm Central. That's 6 p.m. and you East Coast, so that would be 7 p.m.
Okay, I might can do that if I can get, because you know I run a business. You know, I got 2 buildings, so I mean I'm usually sun up to sundown. But if I can get back in here, if I can get back in the crib in time, I'm gonna come through.
I think you'll be a good person to bring on, because you said that you're like in your late 40s.
Yes.
So you are a like a first generation baby boomer, or are you a later Gen Xer?
I'm a Gen X.
Yeah, come through, because see, I'm 32, so I'm in the older millennial.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys, I think that's going to be mostly Gen X. I don't think it's going to be any boomers, but it's going to be a good one, bro. It's going to be good. Bro.
I'm gonna try to get through. I usually try to knock off early on Wednesdays and Thursdays anyway, because that's when I do my 2 weekly shows. Tonight was a special edition. I don't usually fuck around on these nights, but the brothers want to get together. They want to do something, so here we are. I appreciate you coming through, man. And like I said, like I told everybody else, you invited to come on the DXLs. The DXLs get raw, boy. I mean, they are they something else. I got Obsidian, I got Oshay coming on Thursday, Black Ram, Nagone, so you already know what it's gonna be. So.
That's gonna be fire. But you and Lady Thalia and all the viewers, y'all have a good night, man. It was great, man. Y'all get y'all some sleep tonight, man.
All right, peace, brother.
Ciao.
All right, Lady Thalia, we're gonna end up with you.
Yes.
Any final thoughts?
This was very open eye, and I think a lot of Black women who listen to this will probably might change. I really am hopeful for the future. Being like one of the many unique, I wouldn't say unicorns. I'm more like a star than a unicorn. I like being a star.
Oh God. Well, I'll invite you. You can come down, check us out on Thursday as well. I'm gonna have a few surprise guests, and I'm also gonna have a female on the panel as well.
All right, so I'll be right there.
I didn't even tell the brothers that I'm gonna have a female on the panel as well. So, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So everybody, make sure you come through. I appreciate you coming through, Lady Thalia, and being willing to sit in here with the brothers as they throw some testosterone around. I appreciate it.
Well, I've been around testosterone. I have like a bunch of male cousins, so I'm like, yeah, I'm used to this.
All right, I appreciate you coming through. Peace.
Peace.
And I appreciate all of y'all coming through for this special edition of Dark X Live, Saving Black Folk. This was impromptu. I didn't plan it, no promo, no nothing, just did it. And the brothers showed up, and Lady Thalia showed up too. Everybody came through. They voiced their opinion. I appreciate all my guests. I appreciate Lady Thalia, my man Q Butter, Info Man, Why You Mad TV, Brother Sigma, and Brother MOT. I appreciate everybody who came through tonight. So y'all make sure y'all, if you came in late, make sure you rewind this joint, get back to the beginning. It was a really good discussion. A lot of hard hitting stuff, a lot of passionate stuff. And some of the stuff you'll probably disagree with, but I'm pretty sure you'll find a lot of things that you agree with as well. Like I always tell y'all, get on down there, check out Prophet of Thought series. That's Prophet of Thought, one word, series, another word, right there on Facebook. That's the main page. It's a community page. Go ahead, like the page, share the page, follow the page, check it out. You can always catch up with me there. You can actually leave me a message. I always answer within a day or so. And while you're doing that, make sure you get on down to the TPOT bandwagon page on Facebook as well. That's the TPOT bandwagon page. That's actually a personal page where you can actually send a friend request to that page, and I'll make sure that friend's request gets accepted quick. And while you're doing that, get on down there to the Prophet of Thought series fan group page. That's right, the Prophet of Thought series fan group page on Facebook. We got almost 3,000 members. I want to get it up to 3 Gs before the end of November. With your help, I can do it. It's a fan page, so you can get on down there. You can post stuff there. And like I said, it is a fan group page, so you don't just have to listen to old X talk shit all the time. There's other people down there in the group talking shit as well. Go ahead, request to be a member. You'll get accepted quick. I promise. Also, check us out on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's right, the Prophet of Thought on Instagram. Go ahead, follow us on Instagram. You guaranteed to get a follow back. I promise. And also, here we go, y'all. You need to get on down there and check us out on Twitter. That's TPOT Media on Twitter, at TPOT Media on Twitter. Get on down there and follow us, because if you don't, I will haunt your dreams up until Thanksgiving night. So get on down there to the old TPOT Twitter page and go ahead and follow us. We got a new TPOT website coming soon, y'all. It's gonna be hot too. I got it in the making right now. So look out for that. Look for oldtpots.com. You will be seeing it soon. Once again, I like to thank all my guests for coming through the night. And I will also like to thank my mods in the chat, always doing what they supposed to do, and everybody else in the chat. And I would like to thank you for watching and spending some time with us on this special edition of Dark X Live. It is always appreciated. So with that, and yeah, that's right, make sure you have your black behinds here Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time for DXL, because it's going to be ridiculous. I got brother Nagone coming through. I got brother O'Shea coming through. I got brother Obsidian coming through. I also got brother Black Ram will be coming through, and a few extra people. Of course, my man Info Man. I'm gonna try to get my man Q Butter to come through too as well. So it's gonna be lit. And I also got a special female guest coming through that night as well. So make sure you down there at freaking the old TPOT YouTube page, home of DXL, because it's gonna be live Thursday. We talking about when a black man is fed up. So with that, I will leave you with 3 words. Like I always do, open your minds. And we are out of here, y'all. Peace, folks. From T. Open your minds.